What's going on, guys? Chaseontwowheels here with the Rocket 3R that Triumph is letting us borrow. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've watched the channel for any period of time, you guys know where we are. We are at the gas stop on the way to the mountains here in North Georgia. We just got done doing our first half of the highway test. This is our big mountain and highway test day. So I've ridden up here to the mountains and we're gonna take the Rocket onto the mountain roads. Obviously, as you guys can see, the size of this motorcycle, it's not really made to do that. But I've been really enjoying these muscle cruisers, and when I took the Sportster S on the mountains in or the canyons, in California, it performed far better than I expected. So I'm very interested to see how the Rocket 3R handles very curvy roads. I have been scraping pegs since I got on this thing. I imagine a few pegs might get scraped today. We're going to try to keep that to a minimum. Things I'm going to be looking for. It's a big bike. How does it handle being thrown around in the mountains? How does that torque do when we're going uphill and downhill? You know, just generally, how does this thing do in sporty riding? So if you guys are interested in seeing that, make sure to hit that like button. And without further ado, let's get this thing started.
Guys, before we get rolling, I did want to let you know this video is sponsored by Simply Safe, but don't worry, we'll talk about those guys later in the video.
By the way, on the highway test here, the Rocket has a key fob. It's a wireless key fob. It kept telling me the battery was dead. So I'm really hoping it's not dead, because that's going to make this ride a lot more complicated. Please crank up for me. Oh, in that case, let's get this video started. Alright guys, we find ourselves here at the base of one of my favorite mountains in North Georgia. I do want to let you guys know we are currently in sport mode, in case you're curious. And if you're watching this video and you're expecting me to be all like knee dragger mode, that is not what today's video is about. Today's video is about how this thing does in the mountains. It is not a top speed run. I have like just my daily riding gear on. I do not have extremely good protective gear. I mean, I'm head to toe geared up, but this is also not a bike to do that on. You know, this is a cruiser, and I want to see how it reacts up here in the mountains. I want to specifically contrast it with how I experienced the Sportster S from Harley Davidson. If you guys aren't familiar, it's their kind of new muscle cruisers, what the guys and I tend to be calling these things. Well, and I just want to see how this thing is. You know, I want to see, can I take this thing up to the mountains and enjoy it and have an enjoyable ride? That is what we're here to find out today. And eventually we will get out from behind these cars and we can get going a little faster. Probably not too much faster, but a little faster than this. Alrighty. I am going to be very mindful of the pegs. If I hear or feel scrapage, I'm definitely going to be backing off today, not trying to get myself in trouble. But I am trying to have a good time, you know, so I'm trying to work the best, get the best out of all of it, honestly. I am happy that the Rocket 3R has mid controls. You know, when I was riding, oh, it's 2-lane, bud. You don't have to do that. Thank you, though. When I was riding the Sportster S, the mid control model versus the forward control model, there seemed to be a huge difference in the way I felt as a rider in turns on the mid control model. I ended up liking the mid control model much more, even though forward controls versus mid controls gave you no added lean angle. But what that does is it positions your feet to where you can throw your weight around more, and I think that's what leads to a more sporty ride. And I think Triumph did a much better job just offering this bike as a mid control model. I look at these as sporty cruisers, and I don't think you can have a sporty cruiser with forward controls. That's just my personal opinion. Also, I'm very glad that I did the Sportster S launch, because I realized, and after riding that bike for a bit, I found out how to use my weight on a bike like this to ride a little faster. Ooh, that's a lot of scrapage. All right, we can't throw this thing into a turn, get the weight behind it, and then go. We're gonna have to keep that in mind. That was a ton of scrapage. But yeah, guys, on bikes like this, to get going, to carry some speed in a turn, you don't, like on a motorcycle, a regular upright, naked, or a super sport, you just lean over this way. But on bikes like this, it's much more your body needs to be up forward to really get it carrying speed through a turn. And I really found that out on my Sportster S launch, and I'm realizing, you know, you can't really go back into the side on a bike like this. There's the seat and the handlebars don't really allow you to. You got to go forward and up, kind of like you're kissing your mirror type thing. You know, on little curves like this is not bad. You know, it's those little gravity turns where you really got to get the weight in and the suspension's going to get compressed pushing through a turn. That's what felt like back there, where it just started scraping really bad. All right, so we're coming up to the meat of Blood Mountain up here. I am going to be just super cautious after that last scrape. I want to be very careful. We're in 5th gear, pretty high. Let's drop down a gear and see what's up. Smooth power delivery, feeling good. Still just so surprised by the rocket's power delivery. And like I told you guys, we're in sport mode. You know, there's scraping again. Gotta keep this in mind. Seems like I'm scraping more on the left side than I am the right side, which is interesting. I think that's the side I feel more comfortable on. I think a lot of riders are like that, actually. Can you lean it over as far as a regular bike? No, absolutely not. You don't have that kind of lean angle, but that's a mathematical thing. But that's not stopping me from really enjoying kind of a mediumly aggressive ride up this mountain, guys. I will say, noticing when I hit if I'm in a turn, you know, I'm leaned over, and the front wheel hits any sort of disturbance, I do notice that because of the air scraping, God almighty, you got to be careful on those, but well, like I was saying, if the front wheel hits any sort of disturbance while in a turn, I believe I'd put money on it's the fact that the bike is so long and the front tire is so large. It sends that disturbance all the way through the bike. So I was on the way up to the mountains before I had the camera going. I was in, you know, the roads are not straight, you know, on the way to the mountains. The mountains are just a little more curvy. But I was in a turn and I hit what I believe was like an acorn or a little chip of wood. And, you know, the bike was in a semi-stressed position. We were leaned over and everything. The front wheel hit it, and that wiggle was all the way through the motorcycle. And, you know, I wasn't going more than 60%, 50% of my capability. And luckily, that gave me the wherewithal to, you know, not freak out. Everything was all right, but it was a little sketchy, and I imagine that would feel really sketchy to a lot of you guys if you were pushing the bike hard. So that's just something to keep in mind. This bike, again, is not made for this type of riding, but you can certainly do it as long as you stay within the bike's limitations and your own limitations. You know, as you guys can hear, we're scraping pegs all the way up this mountain. The throttle feels great. I'm in 4th gear. We're on a motorcycle that doesn't have very tall gears. The gears are very short, as you guys can tell. I don't think I could be in a lower gear, you know, to get going too much faster because I'm already scraping pegs. So this thing's got so much torque, though. Honestly, it does not matter where we're gonna scrape. Yeah, I can feel it. I've got that mental, I don't know what you call it, but if you guys have been riding for a while, you got this like lean angle thing in your head, and you know you're about to scrape. But you know, that's not going to stop us from having a good time today. We're just going to be careful, be cautious, know what we're getting into, and ride accordingly. You know, I can still, as you guys can tell, I can still ride pretty fun up here, and this is enjoyable. Granted, you just got to keep in mind that, you know, you've got a little bit more of a physical limitation that's going to slow you down. Loving the smooth feeling up here. We're going to pull in real quick, and I don't think we'll get the bike turned off. We'll just do a quick little pull in.
So guys, this video is sponsored by SimpliSafe. For you guys that don't know, SimpliSafe is an easy to use, totally customizable home security system that focuses equally on the most up-to-date tech and a reliable relationship-focused service team. They also just released their new wireless outdoor security camera, which is something I've been looking forward to for a while now. The wireless outdoor security camera features an ultra-wide 140-degree field of view so you can keep watch over your entire yard. It has a 1080p HD resolution with an 8x zoom so you can zoom in to clearly see things like faces and license plates to capture critical evidence. It even has a built-in spotlight with color night vision so you can keep an eye on what's going on around the clock. So we already have SimpliSafe's doorbell that I can use to see my front yard of the house, but Heather and I are always hearing these weird sounds coming from the side of the house. I was really excited to get this camera installed on the side of my house. Now we'll be able to see what the heck is making all the noise over there at night. Setting up this camera honestly could not be any easier. This little magnetic base just opens up and you screw one side into the wall. After you have the base installed where you want it, the camera just magnetically attaches to it. There are no wires at all. You just open up the camera and you recharge the battery that's inside of the camera. Not only does the camera have a spotlight, but it also has two-way audio that you can use with their app. As always, the interactive monitoring service will call the police if it's alerted to anything. There's a team of always-on professionals that are easily reachable and always keep lines of communication open for the most protective service. If you guys are in the market for a new security system, I can highly recommend SimpliSafe. And if you're ready to purchase, you can take 20% off your SimpliSafe security system. Plus, you can get your first month free when you sign up for their interactive monitoring service. All you gotta do is visit simplisafe.com/chase to learn more. That's simplisafe.com/CHASE to learn more. Now let's get back to the video.
I want to show you guys what this bike looks like from the front to give you an idea of where the pegs are. We're not going to turn the bike off because, as you guys know, we're trying to keep going, not get stopped. Yeah, but look how low those pegs are. Now, I love the the mid control, and yeah, we are scraping the piss out of those, man. And so far, so good. That was a good time. We didn't get in too much trouble. Scrape both sides of the pegs, but we're all good. That was enjoyable. Let's keep this going, guys. That was Blood Mountain. That was one of the mountains that I like riding, but my favorite one's up here. So I say we just head there. If anything comes up, we'll talk about it, and then I've got this really cool overlook that I like to stop at, and we'll finish this video up there. Let's keep trying this thing out. Let's see how the weight wants to do. You know, guys, it's the switchbacks that are way more fun to me. Like these big curves, that's where I feel way more comfortable. I can carry some speed through these things. I don't have to lean over too far, and I can carry just a confident amount of speed that makes me really feel like I'm going somewhere. Those tight turns is where my righty sense kicks in, and it's like, yeah, you better be careful. You're gonna touch that limit. Then inevitably, you know, if I'm pushing it and continue to push it through there, it starts scraping. But these type of turns, this feels great. I love the bike for this. We don't have to push it hard, you know? We're still in fourth gear, just chugging along, torquing along, you know, in the Rocket 3R. I can tell you guys this, you know, we're up here on a beautiful day and I'm riding alone, and I'm touching the limits of physically, you know, the physical limits of the motorcycle. And I can tell if I was up here with buddies that maybe had like naked bikes or something, this is a bike that would get me in trouble because I would be focused on keeping up. And granted, you shouldn't ever do that, but I feel like this is one of those motorcycles. I've got this big power plant. I would want to be going fast if my buddies were with me. So this is one of those bikes. You got to be very careful, and you got to know yourself, and you got to be able to tell yourself, look, man, don't follow your buddies, especially if they're not on the similar style bikes. You could get yourself in trouble really quickly, you know, whether it be you run out of lean angle or something. So guys, as we're riding through these hills, I am noticing when the Rocket gets above about 4,000 RPMs, it really starts at about 3,800. I feel a lot of shake in the bike. That's where it starts getting a little shaky, you know. we were recording the highway video earlier, and as long as you stay chill on the bike, there's really not a lot of shaking. It's only when you really start getting on it and getting the revs up, like here we're at 3,200, no shaking at all. You guys, this bike, it feels very cohesive with what it is. What I mean by that is, you know, there's no mistaking it. This is a heavy motorcycle. It's a long bike, so the steering is heavy. It takes energy to get this thing moving in a direction. But the thing that I'm totally okay with is that there is synergy in this entire motorcycle. The bike takes a lot of energy to pull over. It's got a lot of weight. The weight is low down, so it's not as bad to handle. The throttling is smooth. Everything with this bike is methodical and slow. There's nothing fast about it. That's not to say, you know, you couldn't put it in, you know, rider mode and just open the throttle and, you know, smoke your tire or anything. It's fast, but everything is kind of, you know, synergistic. It kind of works together. You know, if a bike has one thing that's snappy and one thing that's kind of slow and methodical, it doesn't really have that sync together. But this bike, because of that sync, I as a rider, the bike tells me how it wants me to ride it. You know, everything is like, hey, prep up for what's coming and, you know, get into that turn correctly, because I'm not doing anything fast. Now, if you're looking for a light, agile motorcycle, you know, this is not that bike. It makes it to where something that is typically a negative, you know, a slow leaning motorcycle is not really a huge positive, I don't think. But I love that it all works together in this one big package. It honestly is great to ride, and I'm not upset that I'm not able to carry a little more speed up this mountain. We'll get to play with some of the torque that we got if we have an opportunity. We do. On tap, baby. On tap whenever you want it. It's ready to go. All right, guys. What a showing for the big old cruiser. Check out that. We're gonna turn you off. Please turn back on. Check the view out, dudes. All right. So, Rocket 3R in the mountains. I would say a bike like this is probably not the first thing you're gonna grab to come up here. But, or it's not the first bike I would grab to come up here, but I will say if this is the only bike I had, I would be totally okay with, you know, coming up here every now and then and checking the mountains out, riding around. I had a great time just now. I would love to do that. Granted, I am a more sportier rider. I prefer to ride a little harder in the mountains. I've been doing this for a long time, so I do enjoy that. But overall, if I was to give the Rocket 3R a number, a judgment number of how it does in the mountains, probably give it like a 6.3. Definitely not a motorcycle built for what we did up here today, but totally capable. Honestly, the lean angle is probably the contributing factor. If I could lean this thing over a little more, I loved the actual ride. It was a little heavy, but that didn't really bother me because it just, you know, it made me ride way more methodical. But anyways, guys, that's the Rocket in the mountains. If you guys enjoyed this video, please make sure to hit that like button, especially if you made it all the way to the end, and subscribe to the channel if you like motorcycle content. We'll be bringing a lot more content here on the Rocket for you guys. If you want us to test it in a specific way, let us know in the comments down below. That's how we get our ideas for how to test these things. I'm Chaseontwowheels. You guys go ride safe. We'll see you on the next one. Later. Outro crew, thank you for getting to the end of the video. Love you guys extra long. Let us know, would you guys take the Rocket to the mountains? Very curious. I mean, why wouldn't you with a view like that? All right, guys. Later.